Hi, you may ask who I am and what the fuck this channel is about. My name is Kev and this is my channel. It's mostly about my thoughts about gaming, anime, and other topics I'm interested in. I guess to start this video I should talk about what I like. Maybe what my interests are, but for me, when someone talks about something they're passionate about, I feel to get to know them a little better. So I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite anime. And yes, you can shit on my poor taste, but if you're curious, keep watching. So let's begin.
Oh man, it was just a bad.
Number 10, Rosario Vampire. Okay, let me explain. To the people who know about this show, yes, I was horny, but I was 15 and I was a going boy, okay? Let me off the leash for this one. To the people who don't know, Rosario Vampire is an ecchi anime, and ecchi just means that there's a sexual themes in the show. Or to the weebs out there, it's just fan service. The show's plot is basically the main character, Skune, gets accidentally enrolled in a school where monsters attend, but he befriends a vampire along the way in the school in the most weirdest way. As the show progresses, more characters get introduced that later on become part of Skune's harem, and also a lot of panty shots that you become numb to it. The main girl, Mocha, has two forms, which she goes from cheerful sweet girl to dominant serious girl, which might explain a lot of my taste in certain things. The other characters include Kurumu, a succubus who mainly just wants Skune's attention. Yukari, the token lolly character that happens to be a witch. The scenes where she is on the show are very weird looking back at it. Alright, let's just get back to the characters, alright? And lastly, Misori. Personally my favorite girl in the show, and I'm gonna elaborate why. You might stop and think, hey Kev, why is this one of your favorite shows? Are you into ecchi anime? Is the whole list just nothing but softcore porn? No, and my answer to why Rosario Vampire is one of my favorite anime is mainly because it was the show that got me into anime. I thought anime was not for me because how bizarre and foreign it was to me. But one day I was really bored and decided, you know what, let me give anime a try. And randomly picked this show, and it just happens to be an ecchi anime. Number 9. World Trigger. I start off by saying that this show is very underrated because I don't see a lot of people talking about it. I watched this anime when I was deep in the rabbit hole of what anime I should watch, and suddenly came across this show after seeing an ad for it on Crunchyroll. The anime is about a world where interdimensional creatures called neighbors invade Earth, humans building a defense agency to counter them. I like the main character because he isn't an overpowered demigod, he's just an ordinary high schooler who wants to get better and rely on his coordination skills to get an advantage on his rivals or enemies. And also I like the character Yuma, who is a small, chill, skilled fighter in the show, and happens to be a neighbor. As much as I would like to tell you about the characters and the plot, it'll take a long time. Because not only is the show more than 70 episodes, the show has more than 50 characters that it keeps up with, and more counting with that second season. Another main reason I like this show is because all the characters are categorized on this hierarchy on how good they are on the team, and having a rating system similar to One Punch Man's. I like that this anime shows that teamwork is important in completing an objective, because in order to show the anime, the main character is just basically one man army that can take down the whole army. It's unfortunate that this show isn't getting much attention and that it took 5 years for it to get a second season, and not knowing if they're getting a third season. But I am hopeful for its return. Number 8. Overlord. I feel that this anime for me does the whole overpowered main protagonist well, because the protagonist is actually the villain in the world. I remember watching this and when it aired, and just like World Trigger, liking the world building. The anime revolves around the protagonist enjoying the last hour of his virtual game in his guild, until he gets stuck in the game and realizes the NPCs have mind of their own. And the whole show is about him figuring out how the world works and trying to find other people in the same predicament as him, by establishing his kingdom and spreading the word, and him slowly losing his humanity as the show progresses. The reason I like this show is because the main character is sometimes cautious when approaching new enemies, even though being built different, and sometimes giving the good old-fashioned justice to people who deserve it. I don't know, I just find it entertaining to watch, and I also like the design of Ainz, a spooky skeleton with drip. You got that drip though. I like this anime because the idea of being transported into the world of a video game interests me, not you. and the amount of characters in the show really builds the world around them. And also the opening is really good. Number 7. Parasite the Maxim. The horror movie The Thing is one of my favorite horror movies that explores the themes of isolation, imposters, and what it means to be human, and the design of The Thing is really gnarly looking and cool. And you might be asking, what this has to do with Parasite? And my answer is everything. Parasite is about a teenager who happens to be caught up in an alien invasion, where these parasitic aliens invade the human body and control the body to do their sinister work. Fortunately for Shinichi, he happens to prevent this from happening, but the parasite takes control of Shinichi's right hand. The whole anime is about Shinichi learning about these aliens and their motives, and most of the time preventing these psychopathic aliens from killing and eating other humans. And also, as you can tell, the design of the parasite is very similar to the design of The Thing. Just like The Thing, Parasite explores the philosophical questions of humanity, nature, and love. Questions like, what is the meaning of being human? What is humans' relationship with nature? What is love? What is the meaning of sacrifice? Why can't I get a girlfriend? Jesus Christ, it's getting dark. The dialogue between Shinichi and Mugi really exemplifies this. Shinichi will explain the morality and ethical reason in a dire situation, but Mugi will counter-argue with a cold, expressionless, and logical answer. You agree with Shinichi, but can't deny Mugi's statement of nature. And as the show progresses, Shinichi slowly starts to agree with Mugi and the other parasites on the role of humanity. And that's why I like this show. Because the anime makes you think about these questions, and it makes you think what the answer will be. I find it interesting to watch Mugi and the other parasites experience being somewhat human.
他にどう呼んだらいいのかな。
実はね、私とこの A さんとでセックスしてみたのよ。
This anime made me question a lot about humans' role in nature and how we don't care much about other species. Unlike The Thing, the anime ends on a happy note, but keeps those questions bouncing in your brain. Besides the existential dread I got from watching this anime, I recommend watching it because it's quite a masterpiece of a show in my mind. And also, to me, it kind of looks like The Thing had like an anime adaptation. I don't know. Number 6.
まるで空っぽのような、心がここにないような、ひどく遠くを見るような目を時々する。
NATSUME'S Book of Friends. This anime is another show I think is underrated, which I don't think it is. I don't know. I just don't hear a lot of people talking about it. It's another random pick when looking for an anime to watch, but I'm glad I watched it. The story starts off with Natsume, who from childhood is able to see yokai. This ability has hindered him from forming relationships and being perceived as troubled. Moving from foster parents, he acquires the Book of Friends from his deceased grandma Reiko that contains names of yokai she obtained.
友人帳を知っているかい？
友人帳。
あやかし者たちの名前が書いてあるのだよ。友人帳を手に入れると、名を連ねたあやかし者たちを滑ることができてしまう。
The plot progresses as Natsume encounters Madara, a powerful spirit that wants the book but strikes a deal with him and become companions. The majority of the plot is Natsume learning more about his grandmother by giving the yokai's names back and getting caught up in the conflicts of the yokai world. The anime is based off the mythology of the yokais, and as someone who isn't well attuned to Japanese culture, this piqued my interest. The reason I like this anime is because it's a good mixture of slice of life and supernatural elements. The anime takes place in the countryside, which gives it this chill atmosphere. The yokai are of plenty in the show, with motives, personality, and sometimes positive or negative views on humans. The anime has a theme of being quite sad, with Natsume's backstory and the yokai's own stories. My favorite character in the show is Madara, or Nyanko Sensei, as Natsume calls him, because he is such a bully to the other smaller yokais, but cares for Natsume, who he has no reason to look after, other than wanting to own the book and slowly becoming Natsume's mentor.
仲間の素直に返しよって、また友人帳が薄くなってしまったではないか。やはりな、道理で似ようと思った。私のものに手を出すとは。よし、払ってやろう。
お見事。
友人帳絡みではないのか。断る。
お前には頼んでない。古狸は黙っていろ。
私のどこかの体低級のくせにネズミにつけたら振ってぶって死んだこら
いいことな寸胴だセンスを疑う
面をつけたらお前に言われたんだから。
This show is one of the reasons I like slice of life anime and why I like Japanese mythology. I was surprised that I don't remember watching the 6 seasons of this anime, which shows to me how entertaining this anime is to me, and that the passage of time didn't hit me yet while watching. Number 5.
なるほど手乗り的
Toradora and
おはよう
KIMI ni TODOKE. I couldn't really pick one for the romance category because these two shows are, in my opinion, fantastic. So let's start with Toradora. The anime is about Ryuji, a kind, gentle guy who happens to have an intimidating face but has a crush on Minori. Next on the lineup is Taiga, a short girl with a short temper that has a crush on the Vice President Yusaka. When these two clash, they both find out they're friends with both each other's crush, and the whole show is about these two having a mutual bond and helping each other hook up with their crushes. The reason this anime is one of my favorite romance anime is the fact that we don't fool around. What I mean by that is that the anime puts the characters in tough and realistic situations where they have to decide what choices to make. I would like to elaborate more, but that'll lead to some spoilers, which I don't want to do if you haven't watched this anime. And to the people who watch it, you know what I mean. That shit hits you right in the feels, isn't it? Another reason is that the characters progress as the show goes on, meaning that some have matured or learned something about each other that changed how they view each other. Like seriously, if you haven't seen Toradora, what are you doing? Stop watching this video. Go watch it. It's on Netflix and Crunchyroll. Come on, man. Ain't that expensive? Alright, in the same category is KIMI ni TODOKE, which I hope I'm saying right. This anime is about Sawako, a girl who at school gets mistakenly categorized as creepy because she happens to look like the girl from The Ring.
メールが来てさ
But in reality, she's a kind-hearted person who admires Shota, a cheerful popular boy. The whole anime is about Sawako opening up to their classmates, making friends, and later on developing feelings for Shota. For some reason, this anime hits me in the sweet spot, because Sawako is so nice and sweet that if anything negative happens to her, it will trigger a primal rage to protect her, and I will kill anybody who say so otherwise. The anime is very lighthearted, and the characters add more to it by supporting each other, and the art style really sets the joyful atmosphere I get for watching this show. Just like Toradora, I cheer on for the characters to acknowledge each other's feelings, and finally fucking hold hands, and if I dare say it, kiss. Number 4. No BIYORI. As you can probably tell with NATSUME'S Book of Friends and the next anime after this one, is that I like slice of life anime.
Oh my god! Wow! Oh my god!
If I had to pick my favorite slice of life anime, it would have to be No BIYORI. To some viewers, slice of life anime is the boring category where nothing happens in the show. Like, who wants to watch a cute anime girl do her homework for 20 minutes? But to me, slice of life anime is my chill zone / autopilot mode, where I don't have to pay much attention to the show and just enjoy it for what it is. I have seen a lot of slice of life anime, some that do the chill aesthetic well, and others that make me regret wasting my time watching them. But No BIYORI is the anime to watch if you're watching an anime that just mentally broke you. Plot is all about these girls enjoying and encountering new things once the travel student appears in the countryside. And that's all I need to say for the story, because that's really it. The show is just about these girls having a good time. But the one character that carries this whole show is Natsume. Nah, I'm just messing with you. It's obviously Renge.
刑事ごっこか？ごっこ扱いとは許せないの。これは公務執行妨害で逮捕の。なんだ。難しい言葉知ってんな。ガシン。
This cute, funny, motivated little girl makes any scene with her in it more entertaining. She kind of represents the innocence and curiosity kids have for the world. There's so many scenes where it best represents her, but if I had to pick, it'll probably be the scene where she wakes up her older sister. Another thing I forgot to add is the setting. The anime takes place in the scenic countryside, which makes it for some good eye candy. I'm really glad this show got a 3rd season this year. From all the shows that air around that time, fucking this show was fucking at the top of my list. And I hope for more. Number 3. Nichijou. Nichijou, which translates to My Ordinary Life. It's a slice of life comedy anime about the batshit crazy situations the main 6 characters go through in their everyday life. Nichijou is a show that perfectly demonstrates how absurd this medium can be, and it can start with a normal scene of someone doing their laundry, and later on it'll lead to that character exploding. To me, it's appealing to watch something that made me question what's going to happen next. And another thing that I find appealing is the animation. Nichijou has a very similar art style that's very common in slice of life anime. But what makes it different from others is the change of art style through a scene to express the absurdness of a situation. A clip that shows this is the scene where Yuko and Mio are trying to break open a pumpkin. It makes the whole scene more funnier, because the situation is not as tense as it's being animated to be. The characters in the anime also add to the absurdness of the show, by not explaining anything, like these situations are an everyday occurrence. But if I had to pick my favorite character, it would have to be Yuko, because she's just stupid. Yuko is a lazy, simple-minded girl who jokes around with her friends, which makes it funny to watch her interact and fail at simple tasks. The other characters also have their own quirks that make them stand out, like Mio, who happens to be somewhat of a normal girl but draws yaoi in secret. Mai, who is a quiet, smart, and rarely talks in the show but likes to mess with the other characters. Nano, when you guess from her name, is a robot girl with a giant metal key in her back that was created by Hakase. Nano takes care of Hakase and is also worried about other people knowing that she's a robot. Hakase, a 8-year-old scientist who created Nano and gave Sakamoto the ability to talk. Even though she's highly intelligent, she acts her age by playing pranks and throwing tantrums. Sakamoto is a cat with a scarf that lets him talk. That's it. Another thing that adds to the absurdness is to the show's the Helvetica Standard skits. Helvetica Standard. Which half the time don't make sense. I guess the wackiness and absurdness of this anime makes it more funny to me, because it's just, I don't know, my type of humor. And for those reasons, this anime is one of my favorite comedy anime, but this show absurdness doesn't compare to the next anime. Number 2. JOJO'S Bizarre Adventure. I don't even know how to start to explain the insaneness this anime brings to the table. I guess I'll start by explaining how I know this anime. JOJO'S been that anime that fans of it will always recommend watching it. Before watching JOJO, I thought the show was just another shonen anime with muscly built characters, but my first exposure to JOJO was this song. Before I knew it, I started to encounter more JOJO related memes that I had no context to. The memes later on became a gateway to the anime, because just like most anime on this list, I was bored and looking for another series to watch. I started watching part 1, which exposed me to the iconic art style of the anime and began the long and complicated story of JOJO'S Bizarre Adventure. And with that statement, I will not attempt to explain the whole plot of JOJO because it has 5 seasons and to this day after finishing part 5 I'm still processing what the fuck that I just witnessed. But I will talk about my favorite season, part 3, Stardust Crusaders. If you don't know, each season continues the story but has different characters, and characters from the previous season show up for the next one. Part 3 introduces the new powers of stands. Stands are the user's fighting spirit that come with abilities unique to the stand. Like Jotaro's stand, Star Platinum, which have the ability of super strength, speed, and precision. Abdo's stand, which is just red, which have the ability of pyrokinesis. Joseph's stands, Hermit Purple, which have the ability to display any information he wishes to see. That's just 3 out of 34 stands in this season. As the main characters progress, the enemy stands get more absurd. Like there's this one stand that's just a ship where the user is in a orangutan. The fight between them get more interesting to watch. as you see the main characters adapting to the new anime, and to me, every season after this has the same formula of progress, which in my opinion is entertaining to watch. Like each time the fucking episode ends, I'm like hooked on watching the next one. It always ends in a cliffhanger. It's like heroin to me, I swear to God. And my favorite character from this season, the whole series, is Jotaro. Jotaro is a delinquent with morals. He'll call his sweet mama a bitch, but will go through a whole adventure to save her. Jotaro is calm and tough when fighting enemies that think they have an advantage, and later get their ass handed to them by Jotaro. It's kind of hard to find any other anime almost similar to this type of like design of the characters. Another thing I like about this series is the villains. The villains in each season have the most overpowered abilities that make you question how the protagonist has a chance to beat them. I guess that makes sense. It'll be anticlimactic if the villains had a normal ability and got beat in a single fight. I'm gonna wrap up about talking about JoJo, but if I keep going, this whole bit will be me explaining why I like each villain and each main character and how cool their stands are. So I'm just gonna try to cut it short. Of course, after finishing the series and seeing that part 6 got confirmed to be animated, and you can tell from my previous videos, I'm a huge fan of this series. To this day, I can't find another anime that can replicate or even replace JoJo. I guess that's what makes it so unique. One thing I regret is not watching this anime sooner, because to this day is that one anime I reference the most. But it's not my favorite anime. That one goes to
Weapon and Meister, 2 fighting as 1. Let's go, Soul Leader.
Number 1, Soul Leader. Soul Leader is the anime that showed me the anime can have a story and meaning behind it. You might be asking, why is that? Well, when I started watching anime, most anime I watched didn't have much of a plot. But my first time watching Soul Leader, I enjoyed it for what it was. But rewatching it made me appreciate it more and develop nostalgia for it. Soul Leader is about an academy made by death to fight against people who want to use the power of the souls for evil. The anime has a horror/Halloween theme to it, or design to it actually. The reason Soul Leader is my favorite anime is the characters, plot, and theme. The anime focuses on 3 groups. The first group is Soul and Maka. Maka is a bookworm who wants to try to be stronger. Soul is a chill out dude who is Maka's weapon. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, people can turn into weapons in this anime. Yeah, Soul can turn into a sight and amplify Maka's ability to fight. The second group is Death the Kid, Liz, and Patty. Death the Kid is Death's son, who is very serious when he speaks, but loses his mind when things aren't symmetrical. This tendency happens to weaken him in moments when he needs to focus. Liz and Patty are sisters who are Death the Kid's weapons, that happen to be pistols that help make Death the Kid look symmetrical in fights. The last group has my least favorite character, which is Black Star, an orphan whose main goal in life is to surpass God, and his weapon Tsubaki, who is a kind-hearted girl who can transform into different type of ninja weapons. My favorite characters are Stein and Krona. Stein is the Academy's best Meister, and his design is based off Frankenstein. Stein is cunning, smart, sociopathic, and a caring guy, whose favorite hobby is dissecting things, but suffers from madness when unchecked leads to him going insane. I guess the reason I like this character is because he's one of the Academy's best, but has flaws that hold him back, and I guess to me that makes him a likable character. Krona is I'm just gonna say this character's current gender is never answered in the anime or in the manga. So Krona's backstory is that his mother is a witch who experimented on him when he was a kid and tortured him when he didn't obey her orders, which led to him being a naive, submissive person who doesn't know how to deal with new things and solve problems by fighting. Rewatching the anime made me realize why Krona's personality is the way it is. It's quite sad looking at his backstory and seeing the way he became, but in the anime he meets Maka, who changes him for the better and learns how to open up. The reasons Krona is one of my favorite characters is his ability, Black Blood, which hardens his blood, which kind of makes him hard to defeat him in physical battle. His personality. His personality is very shy and timid, but it's very funny how he interacts with normal day things that probably kids his age would not have a problem with. And how his childhood is unfortunately realistic. Like, compare this to like documentaries about serial killers and how they were brought up as a kid. It's very kind of similar. Like, it kind of shows it's kind of realistic and similar in a weird way. The anime's art style is one of my favorite, which is kind of punkish. I guess very similar to Splatoon's art style. Which I guess why I like both of them. The dub is really well done and better than the sub, which is hard to find nowadays. Soul Leader is the anime that showed me that anime can be more than just fight scenes, fan service, and crazy settings. Anime can tell a beautiful story that will make you cry, Anime could tell a meaningful story about life. If it wasn't for Soul Eater, I wouldn't gotten into shonen anime or anime in general. Because before Soul Eater, I wasn't interested in watching more anime at the time because I started losing interest in this medium, and slowly became my jump back into anime and into discovering more anime I appreciate to this day. That's why Soul Eater is my favorite anime. I just get nostalgia every time I rewatch it and think back of all the anime I watched after this one. This video was longer than I expected. I guess I underestimated how long I could talk about anime. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. And if you agree or disagree, write in the comments. I'd like to see your feedback and responses. And remember, what's your favorite anime? Maybe I'll look into it and be like, hey man, you probably you're right. And with all that, y'all have a good one.